The cold metal floor felt strange against Dr. Huan Wu Li's feet as he stumbled out of his pod. Everything hurt. His muscles screamed from a million years of stillness, but somehow he was alive. Around him, other pods hissed open like sleeping, giants taking their first breath. Status report, he croaked, his voice sounding like sandpaper. The emergency lights flickered to life, casting weird shadows on the walls. Ha-Yun Kim was already awake, checking on the others. As a nurse, she knew what to look for. "Everyone's breathing," she called out, "but we need water. Now." Ji-Hoon Park crawled out of his pod, his engineer's mind already working. "The lights shouldn't be on," he muttered. This place was supposed to be dead. He began checking panels, his fingers moving across controls like he was playing a piano. "Hey," called Min-Jun Choi, the physicist. "Look at these readings." His screen showed numbers that made everyone stop what they were doing. 1 million years. We've been asleep for 1 million years. The room went silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. "That's impossible," whispered Hyunwoo Kang, the security chief. But even as he said it, he knew it was true. The solar panels outside had provided just enough power to keep them alive, cycling energy for centuries. The AI voice cut through their shock, cold, and mechanical. Survival rate, 100%. Surface radiation, safe. Human life signs detected, 50. Global human population, 0. 0. The word hit them like a punch. "Load external cameras," Huan Wu ordered. The screens flickered to life, showing the world outside their underground shelter. It was Earth, but not their Earth. Strange plants covered everything, and the sky looked wrong somehow. "Sir," said Harin Song, their botanist, "those trees, they're not any species I know. Look at the bark. It's like crystal." Sai-Woo Kim, their tech specialist, was pulling up more data. "The computer says we lost contact with the surface after year 5. The solar event was worse than predicted. Everyone who stayed up top, they didn't make it." They gathered around the central table, trying to understand. 50 people. The last humans on Earth. "What about other bunkers?" asked Subin Lee. "There were supposed to be hundreds of these facilities." "Gone dark," Siwoo replied. "All of them. We're alone." Jinnah Park, their language expert, started pacing. 1 million years. That's enough time for anything to happen. New species could have evolved. Intelligence could have developed. The AI interrupted. Recommendation: surface exploration in 12 hours. Physical conditioning required. Food stores depleted to 40%. Water reserves at 60%. "We need to prepare," Huan Wu decided. "Medical checks first. Then, we figure out what's up there." As they moved to follow orders, something caught Hyun Woo's attention on the monitors. "Wait. Freeze that camera." The screen showed what looked like structures in the distance, but they weren't human structures. They were too organic, too flowing. "Is that a road?" asked Hyejin Cho, their scientist. "Not like any road I've seen," said Tai-Hwan Kim, military specialist. "Look closer. It's not built. It's grown." They spent the next hours checking equipment, testing muscles, and trying to process the impossible reality. Their world was gone. Everyone they knew was dust, but somehow life had continued without them. As they ate their first meal in 1 million years, tasteless protein bars that somehow still worked, they listened to the AI's reports. Climate had changed. Continents had shifted slightly. And there were signals coming from the surface. Not random noise, organized signals. "Someone's out there," said Aaron Joe, their systems analyst. Or something. When they finally prepared to sleep before their first surface expedition, no one talked about going home. There was no home to go to. They had each other, this facility, and whatever waited outside. Huan Wu lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. 1 million years? In all that time, had humanity been forgotten? Were they just ghosts now, awakening to a world that had moved on without them? but they were alive. 50 humans with knowledge, skills, and determination. Whatever Earth had become, they would face it together. Tomorrow they would see what remained of their world. The elevator moved slowly upward, each meter feeling like climbing through time itself. Harinsong pressed her face against the small window, watching rock give way to soil, then to strange roots that seemed to glow. When the doors finally opened, sunlight hit them like a warm hand. "This isn't Earth," whispered Saiwoo Kim, stepping outside. But it was. Just not their Earth. The trees towered above them, their trunks twisted in perfect spirals. Instead of leaves, they had crystal formations that tinkled in the wind like wind chimes. The grass was silver, rippling like water, when they walked through it. "Look at the sky," said Ye Junhan, their geologist. 2 moons hung there, one large and familiar, one small and red. "When did we get a second moon?" "Maybe it's always been there," offered Jinna Park. "Maybe we just couldn't see it from our time." Subin Lee was already scanning the area with her equipment. "I'm picking up electromagnetic signatures everywhere. This isn't natural evolution. Someone's been building things." They walked toward what used to be a city. The familiar skyline was gone, but something new had grown from the ruins. Buildings made of living wood and metal combined in ways that shouldn't work. Roads that pulsed with soft light, like veins carrying energy. "Dr. Lee," called Minjun Choi from ahead. "You need to see this." They found what remained of a human billboard. The metal had rusted into an orange ghost of its former self, but they could still make out the date, 2024. Below it, carved into a stone that hadn't been there before, were symbols, not human symbols. "Someone was here after us," said Hyan Wukang. "They knew about us." Aaron Zhou ran her scanners over the stone. "The carving is about 500,000 years old. Whatever did this, they found our ruins and commemorated them." They continued exploring, finding more signs of multiple civilizations, human buildings buried under layers of other construction. Some structures looked organic, like massive anthills. Others were clearly mechanical, but followed no design principles. They recognized. "Water source ahead," announced Siwoo, checking his readings. They approached what should have been a fountain in the old city square. Instead, they found a pool of liquid that sparkled like stars. Ha Yoon Kim, ever the careful nurse, stopped them. "Don't touch it. We don't know if it's safe." "It's not just water," said Huanwu, kneeling beside it. The liquid moved in patterns, forming shapes that almost looked like letters. "It's trying to communicate." As if in response, the pool rippled, and an image formed on its surface. They saw Earth from space, but different versions. Earth with ice ages, Earth with vast deserts, Earth with flying creatures they'd never seen before. The images cycled through time, showing the planet changing, healing, growing. "It's a record," breathed Hyejin Cho. "Someone's been documenting Earth's history." A sound made them turn. Not mechanical, not fully animal either. Something was watching them from the crystalline trees. Multiple somethings. "We're not alone," said Taehwan Kim, his military training making him scan for threats. The sounds continued. Rhythmic. Almost like music, but with patterns that suggested language. Subin worked quickly with her translation equipment. "There's structure here," she reported. "Intelligence. But it's not like any language we know." The crystal trees began to resonate, creating a symphony that seemed to tell a story. Images formed in their minds. Not quite telepathy, but close. They saw the solar event that had driven them underground. They saw the surface world changing. And they saw new life forms emerging from the chaos. "They're telling us what happened," said Jinna Park, her linguistic skills helping her interpret. "After we went down, life didn't stop. It adapted, it evolved fast. More images came, creatures walking upright, tools being made, fire being controlled, but not by humans, by something else." "Look," pointed Yejun Han. In a clearing ahead, they could see structures, not ruins but active buildings. Smoke rose from chimneys. Lights moved behind windows. Inhabited, said Bo-young Kim. The question is, by what? The choice was clear. They could return to their bunker and continue living as the last humans, or they could make contact with Earth's new inhabitants. Huan Wu looked at his team. 50 humans, the last of their kind, but maybe not the last residents of Earth. We go forward, he decided. We find out who's been taking care of our planet. As they walked toward the inhabited structures, the crystal trees sang louder as if announcing their arrival to the new world. The chittering came from everywhere and nowhere. 50 humans froze as shapes moved between the crystal trees. Not quite sneaking, but not quite in the open either. Nobody move, whispered Hyun-Woo Kang, his hand automatically reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. The shapes froze too, as if they understood. Jinna Park listened carefully. That sound, there's a pattern. It's not random. They're talking to each other. 3 figures emerged from behind a twisted tree trunk. They walked on 2 legs, but that's where the human similarity ended. Covered in fur that shifted colors like mood rings, they had large ears that swiveled independently. Their hands held tools, crude but clearly made with purpose. Dogs, whispered Min Seo-jung, the biologist. They evolved from dogs. The lead creature stepped forward. Its snout was shorter than a wolf's, its eyes larger and more forward-facing. Around its neck hung a collar made of twisted metal and crystal. It spoke. Not barks or howls, but words. Strange words, but definitely language. First, ones. The voice was rough, like speaking through gravel. You wake? Silence stretched between the 2 groups. Huan Wu Li finally stepped forward, his hands open and empty. Yes. We woke up. We're human. Who man? The creature repeated, tasting the word. Star Watcher told of Who man, first ones who made the great sleep. More creatures emerged. Some looked like evolved cats walking upright with fur patterns that seemed to shift and change. Others resembled bears but with more dexterous paws. Even creatures that might have been birds, though they had small arms instead of wings. Many hands, many claws, said a cat-like being, its voice somehow feminine. Work together. Build together. Subin Lee pulled out her translation device, though it seemed hardly necessary. These beings had learned human language, or pieces, of it passed down through generations. How many of you? Asked Han Wu, trying to keep his voice calm. Many clans, said Star Watcher. Dog clan, cat clan, bear clan, others. We share the world. A smaller creature, possibly evolved from a rabbit, hopped forward. We keep the stories. Tell of the first ones. Tell of the great sleep. Tell of the sky hunters. Everything stopped. Sky hunters? Repeated Hye Jin Cho. Star Watcher's ears flattened. They come from above, take resources, take young. We hide when they come, but now... He gestured to the humans. Maybe now different. The rabbit being continued. Stories say first ones had great weapons. Skyboats. Thunder sticks. They mean spaceships and guns, Siwoo Kim muttered to his companions. A bear-like creature lumbered forward, its voice deep as a drum. We learned from first one's ruins, found books, pictures, learned to make. It showed them a device that looked surprisingly like a primitive radio. We listened to the sky. Know when hunters come. Hyun Kim, always practical, asked, Are there more of you? How do you live? 3 villages, said Star Watcher. We farm the crystal trees, hunt the silver grass feeders, trade with far clans. We made peace after the first ones slept. You fought each other? Asked Taehyun Kim. Dog clan and cat clan, always fighting, admitted the cat being with something that might have been a smile, until sky hunters came. Then we learned to stand together. Jinna Park was making notes, her linguist mind racing. Your language, it's based on human languages but evolved, mixed with your own sounds. We find books, said the rabbit being proudly. Learn to read, teach young, keep knowledge alive. The conversation continued for hours. The evolved beings showed them their tools, metalwork, pottery, even simple electronics built from salvaged human technology. In return, they wanted to know everything about the first ones. "Why did you sleep so long?" asked a young deer-like creature hiding behind Star Watcher. "The sun got angry," explained Huan Wu simply. "We had to hide until it calmed down." "Ah," nodded Star Watcher. "We have stories. The Great Burning, when sky caught fire." As the sun began to set, still the same sun at least, the evolved beings grew nervous. "Night brings shadows," said the cat being. "Not safe and open, you come with us, see our village, meet elders. They will want to know first ones have awakened." The humans exchanged glances. They'd found intelligence on Earth. Not what they expected, but perhaps what they needed. "Lead the way," said Huan Wu. As they walked toward the village following beings that had once been pets, the reality settled over them. They weren't alone anymore. Earth had moved on, evolved, and somehow remembered them. The chittering around them felt less threatening now, almost welcoming. The village was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Tree houses connected by rope bridges, but the trees were metal and crystal growing together. The ground level had workshops where beings with paws and claws worked metal with surprising skill. "Follow to Elder House," said Star Watcher, leading them to the largest structure. Built around a massive tree that pulsed with soft blue light, it looked ancient and modern at the same time. Inside, 3 elderly beings waited: a white-furred cat with one clouded eye, a grizzled bear with scars across his chest, and something that might have been evolved from a crow, though its black feathers had a metallic sheen. "First ones return," said the cat elder, her voice like whispers through leaves. As the stories told. "Your stories mention us?" asked Huan Wu. "Oh yes," croaked the crow being. "Stories say first ones left great sleeping places, under earth, full of wonders. We find some, learn from them." The bear elder stood slowly. "But also stories warn. Sleeping places locked. Need first ones to open." "Open what?" asked He-Jin Cho. "Show them," said Star Watcher to a younger dog being waiting by the wall. The messenger brought out something wrapped in silver cloth. When unwrapped, it revealed a metal plate covered in human writing and strange symbols. "We find many of these," said the cat elder. "Near big metal doors in mountains. Doors that never open." Aaron Joe examined the plate. "It's a security key, biometric, DNA-coded. It needs a human to activate." "You mean there are other bunkers?" asked Hyun Woo. "Not bunkers," said the crow being carefully. "Weapons houses, ship makers, thunder stick factories. The stories say first ones prepared for sky hunters. The implications hit everyone at once. They want us to open military facilities," said Taihwan Kim. "Armories." "Not want," corrected the bear elder. "Need. Sky hunters return in 2 moons. They come for crystal harvest, they come for young ones." Star Watcher's ears flattened completely. "Last time they took many. We couldn't stop them." Huan Wu gathered his team while the elders waited patiently. "This changes everything," he said, quietly. "We can't just survive anymore, we have responsibilities." "To creatures that evolved while we slept?" asked Siwoo Kim. "Is that our problem?" "They're Earth's children," said Haun Kim firmly. "Just like we were. Our ancestors left these weapons. For a reason." Bo Young Kim, their tactical expert, was already thinking ahead. "If these facilities are intact, and if our military systems survived, it's worth checking out," decided Huan Wu. He turned back to the elders. "Show us these doors." The journey took 3 days. The evolved beings moved differently than humans, sometimes on all fours when speed was needed. They communicated with chirps and growls that carried information the humans couldn't understand. On the 2nd day, they passed another village. A gathering of creatures that looked like evolved raccoons showed them what the sky hunters had done. Scorched earth, empty pens where young ones had been kept, scars that cut deep into crystal trees. The 3rd day brought them to the mountains, and there, built into the rock face, were massive metal doors, human doors. "Your mark needed here," said Star Watcher, pointing to a panel. Aaron Jo approached first, placing her hand on the panel. Nothing happened. Then Huan Wu tried. Still nothing. "Maybe it needs multiple people," suggested Min Jun Choi. "Or specific people." They tried various combinations. Finally, when Huan Wu, Aaron, and He-jin placed their hands together, the panel lit up. Ancient systems hummed to life. Warning: automated systems active. Threat status confirmed. Defensive protocols ready, awaiting command. The doors began to open with a deep rumble that shook the ground. Inside, lights flickered on automatically, revealing a cavern that stretched beyond sight. Military vehicles covered in protective sheets, weapons racks filled with advanced firearms, and in the center, like sleeping giants, were spacecraft. "Your ancestors were prepared," said the cat elder softly. "They knew sleep might last long. They built for those who would wake." Ji-hoon Park was already running toward the nearest computer station. "Everything's functional. The systems have been maintaining themselves. There's enough firepower here to outfit an army. Or prepare a defense," added Tae-hwan Kim, his military mind cataloging the weapons. Subin Lee found the communications center. "I'm picking up signals, not just planetside. There are other facilities responding. Worldwide network is still active. The crow being hopped closer to them. Sky Hunters strong. But now we stand together. First one's a new Earth. Maybe. This time we win." Huan Wu looked at his people, then at the evolved beings who had kept Earth alive while they slept. "We're not just going to win," he said, watching the ancient war machines power up. "We're going to make sure they never come back." Outside, warning. Alarms began to sound across the mountain. The network had detected movement in orbit. The alarm screamed across the mountain. On screens throughout the facility, red dots appeared. 15 Sky Hunter ships entering Earth's atmosphere. They moved in formation, heading directly toward the largest crystal tree forests where the evolved beings lived. 2 hours until they reached the first villages, reported Subin Lee from the communications console. Her hands moved quickly across controls that felt familiar despite being a million years old. "Battle stations," called Tae-hwan Kim. The military man in him had taken over completely. "We need pilots for these fighters." "I can fly anything that moves," said Si-woo Kim, already running toward the nearest spacecraft. Other humans followed, their cryo training automatically kicking in. Star Watcher and his people gathered around Huan Wu. "We fight too," the evolved dog declared. "This is our world." "You don't have weapons," said Hyun Woo Kang. "We have claws, teeth, and knowledge of the land," replied the cat elder who had followed them to the facility. "And now we have First One's weapons." Down in the weapons vault, converted beings were already strapping on armor designed for human frames. It didn't fit perfectly, but it would work. Bear beings hefted heavy machine guns like children's toys. Cat beings tested energy weapons with their quick reflexes. "Launch sequences initiated," announced Aaron Jo. "Ancient defense systems are online, orbital platforms responding." Above them, hidden facilities across Earth came alive. Weapons that had waited a million years powered up. Defensive grids established connections. The whole planet was arming itself. The first fighter lifted off with Si-woo at the controls. "Feels like riding a bike," he called over the radio. "Just a really fast, really armed bike." More ships launched. Humans and evolved beings took to the air together. Some of the beings had never flown before, but their animal instincts adapted quickly. "Target acquired," came Ji-hoon's voice. "Sky Hunters are starting their descent. They're big, but our ships are faster." The first strikes came from orbit. Ancient human satellites fired beams of light that carved burning lines across the sky. 2 Sky Hunter ships exploded before they knew what hit them. "In atmosphere combat now," reported Min Jun Choi. "They're fighting back." The Sky Hunters were shocked. For thousands of years, they'd raided primitive worlds. Suddenly, they faced technology that matched their own. On the ground, Ha-eun Kim coordinated ground defenses with the elders. Crystal trees resonated with energy, creating shields over villages. The trees themselves had evolved to work with the ancient human systems. "Direct hit on the lead ship," shouted Ye Junhan, watching from a gun position. In the air, the battle was unlike anything either side expected. Human precision combined with animal instinct created a fighting style that confused the sky hunters. Cat beings and modified fighters moved with incredible agility. Bear beings and bombers refused to retreat, pushing forward with animal courage. "They're trying to land," warned Bo Young Kim, 3 ships breaking off from the main group. "Let them land," said Huan Wu grimly. He'd moved to the command center, watching the battle unfold. "We have a surprise for them." The sky hunters landed in what they thought was an empty valley. Immediately, the ground erupted with fire. Hidden defensive positions opened up. Evolved beings who'd been hunting in these mountains for generations knew every cave, every hiding spot. The rabbit beings, too small for frontline combat, had been fitted with advanced sniper rifles. Their quick reflexes made them deadly accurate. Deer beings used their speed to run between cover, calling out positions for artillery strikes. 2 more ships destroyed, reported Subin. "But we're taking losses, 3 fighters down." "The big ship is powering its main weapon," warned Aaron. "Counter-battery fire authorized," ordered Huan Wu. "All orbital platforms concentrated fire on the flagship." The sky lit up like a second sun. Ancient human weapons, evolved beings working human technology, and the natural defenses of the planet itself focused on the Sky Hunter flagship. For 10 seconds, the battle paused as every eye watched the light show. When the light faded, debris rained from where the flagship had been. The remaining Sky Hunters broke formation, seeking escape. But Earth was ready now. Fast fighters pursued them. Ground positions tracked them, and the planet's own defense grid wouldn't let them leave. When the last Sky Hunter ship exploded at the edge of the atmosphere, cheers erupted across every channel. "It's over," called Star Watcher from his fighter. "Sky Hunters flee." Back on the ground, humans and evolved beings gathered together. Bodies were counted, some lost, but far fewer than anyone had expected. New friendships had been forged in fire. "Why did you help us?" asked the Crow Elder, perched next to Huan Wu as they watched the sunset. "You could have stayed hidden." Huan Wu looked across the celebrating crowd, humans laughing with beings that had been animals when they went to sleep. "Because this is our Earth, all of ours, and family protects family." In the sky, both moons rose over a world that had changed forever. Earth's children, old and new, stood together. The last humans weren't alone anymore.